Okay, let's have a little prayer before we get into this. Our most loving and kind Heavenly Father, we ask you to send your angels to be with us, and also your only begotten Son, because he said with two or three are gathered together, that he's there in the midst. And I pray that the words I speak may be your words, Father, through your Son, and may I speak the right words to help someone, at least one person, out today in my speech, and may it be clear so that people can understand exactly what the message is, because we want to press together to finish the work while it's still day, because we got to work while it's daytime, because they're coming when night comes and no man can work. So we ask for your blessings and your help in the name of your only begotten Son. Amen. Okay, the name of my talk is Treatment Rooms in Cities. The closing message of the gospel is to be carried to every nation and kindred and tongue and people. Revelation 14:6. In foreign countries, many enterprises for the advancement of this message must yet be begun and carried forward. The opening of hygienic restaurants and treatment rooms and the establishment of sanitariums for the care of the sick and the suffering is just as necessary in Europe as it is in America. In many lands, medical missions are to be established to act as God's helping hand in ministering to the afflicted. That's 7 Testimonies, Volume 7, 51. I have been given light that in many cities it is advisable for a restaurant to be connected with treatment rooms. The two can cooperate in upholding right principles. In connection with these, it is sometimes advisable to have rooms that will serve as lodgings for the sick. These establishments will serve as feeders to the sanitariums located in the country and would better be conducted in rented buildings. In many places, it will be necessary to begin sanitariums in the cities, but as much as possible, this work should be transferred to the country as soon as suitable locations can be secured. And this is Councils on Health 488.2. The main reason why I believe that it should be in rented buildings is we don't know what's going to happen in cities. If you get tangled down with and lose a bunch of property, it's better to have a rented building than to have a owned building. And of course the treatment room in the city should be small and not large. There's things like White Memorial Hospital built in the city, honored in the name of Ellen White, which is really a catastrophe.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't follow anything that they were advised to do and push forward with this establishment in the city and made it bigger and bigger. Christ cooperates with those who engage in medical missionary work. Men and women who selfishly do what they can to establish sanitariums and treatment rooms in many lands will be richly rewarded. Those who visit these institutions will be benefited physically, mentally, and spiritually. The weary will be refreshed, the sick restored to health, the sin-burdened relieved. In far-off countries, for those whose hearts are by these agencies turned from the service of sin unto righteousness, will be heard thanksgiving and the voice of melody. By their songs of grateful praise, a testimony will be born that will win others to allegiance and to fellowship with Christ. Counsels on Health 215.3. There's only one time in my life of where I participated in a treatment room in the cities. This was in 1983 to 1984, when I was a resident physician at the University of Maryland in Baltimore. There was a classmate of mine, and actually he was a roommate the first year that I went to Modern Relish University. His name is Dr. Gerald Reinshagen. And he practices now in Mississippi, the last I knew, but he had established a practice in Maryland, and we had connected with Heartland College. I don't know if you ever heard of Heartland College. And they had like a college and a sanitarium sort of, or lifestyle center set up. And they established a city mission that included somewhat of a restaurant and also a treatment room in the city. And it actually was really blessed, I thought, because there were ones that were baptized as a result of it, and it made it much easier to have already an established country sanitarium to work with, and it's much easier when the sanitarium is established in the country first, and then you do your city treatment room and restaurant. And but at this time, I didn't know anything about 1980 at the Dallas General Conference. And actually, the last Sabbath that the General Conference held in Dallas, I was actually there. I heard nothing about anything about changing their doctrines.
You mean in 1980?
1980, yes.
Yeah.
In Dallas, 1980. It was July of 1980. And I was there for their last Sabbath services. But I don't know. I mean, it wasn't in their bulletins. It wasn't anything that they handed out. I knew nothing about it, about the change. And anyway, but so that's the only time in my life where I've actually worked with a treatment room in the city, was in connection with Heartland College. But that only lasted during my time I was there, a resident in Baltimore, and it ended when I moved on from that position and moved away from Baltimore. When in Los Angeles, I was instructed that not only in various sections of that city, but in San Diego and in other tourist resorts of Southern California, health restaurants and treatment rooms should be established. Our efforts in these lines should include the great seaside resorts. As the voice of John the Baptist was heard in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, so must the voice of the Lord's messengers be heard in the great resort great tourist and seaside resorts. Volume 7, Testimonies 55, 56. She goes on and says, my soul longs to see carried on in the South the work that has so long been in need of our assistance. The great necessity for schools in the cities and out of the cities, for sanitariums and treatment rooms, and for evangelical work demands that we do everything we possibly can. This barren field is sending up to heaven its pitiful appeal for help. Where can we find another field in which the need is greater? Signs of the Times, November 30, 1904, paragraph 7. Christ cooperates with those who engage in medical missionary work. Men and women who unselfishly do what they can to establish sanitariums and treatment rooms in many lands will be richly rewarded. So you want to be richly rewarded? Those who visit these institutions will be benefited physically, mentally, and spiritually. The weary will be refreshed, the sick restored to health, the sin burden relieved. In far-off countries, from those whose hearts are by these agencies turned from the service of sin unto righteousness, will be heard thanksgiving and the voice of melody. By their songs of grateful praise, a testimony will be born that will win others to allegiance and to fellowship with Christ. Counsels on Health 215. I have been instructed that one of the principal reasons why hygienic restaurants and treatment rooms should be established in the centers of large cities is that by this means the attention of leading men will be called to the third angel's message. Noticing that these restaurants are conducted in a way altogether different from the way in which ordinary restaurants are conducted, men of intelligence will begin to inquire into the reasons for the difference in business methods and will investigate the principles that led us to serve superior food. Thus, they will be led to a knowledge of the message for this time. Testimonies, Volume 7, 122, 123. Let our brethren unite in a study as to how improvements may be made, that the sick may be better provided for. The treatment rooms can be made more pleasant and attractive. Skill and workmanship might be properly extended in improving the appearance of other parts of the building. These improvements may be simple and need to require a large outlay of means. There should be a change in the mattress on some of the beds. Some of the patients find a hard mattress very uncomfortable. She even gives information that goes to even common things like what you sleep on. When I had this treatment room there in, or participated in this treatment room in Baltimore, they supplied us with doctors that were able to give the message and also to pray with patients, and also they had people that were health educators, and also they had nutritionists and dietitians, and they had a lot of things that people could be helped in there, and that's what we need, is a large number of people that are helping out, that will reach the people where they're at and meet them where they're at and take them from where they're at to, following Christ's method to meet the people where they're at, and then make friends with them, and then finally bid them to follow Him. Today, the truth is to be proclaimed as Christ proclaimed it when He was on the earth, on this earth. Our people who are connected together at large centers should be out in the field working for souls. They should go to places where the truth has not yet been heard, and pray and plan and work and gain an experience by practical work. Is not Christ in our world today as verily as He was then, 2,000 years ago? Can He not heal the sick as well now as then? Let small sanitariums and treatment rooms be established, and let people be given an education in simple methods of treating disease. Those who take up this work will increase in capability, for unseen heavenly agencies will be present to help them. Letter 43, 1905. After the sanitarium buildings at Tacoma Park are completed and occupied, the city treatment rooms will still be needed. These treatment rooms will act as a feeder for the suburban sanitarium, and many patients may be transferred from them to the sanitarium. These two places, properly managed, will become a power of influence in medical missionary lines. And the references there. Christ's sorrows. Okay, this goes into what I already discussed earlier. I guess we could repeat it again. Christ sorrows and weeps over our churches and over the institutions of learning that have failed to meet the demand of God. He comes to investigate in Battle Creek, which has been moving in the same track as Jerusalem. The publishing house has been turned into desecrated shrines, into places of unholy merchandise and traffic. It has become a place where injustice and fraud have been carried on, where selfishness, malice, envy, and passion have been borne sway. Yet the men who have led into this working upon wrong principles are seemingly unconscious of their wrong course of action. When warnings and entreaties come to them, they say, doth he not speak in parables? Words of warning and reproof have been treated as idle tales. So it's almost 7:30. So this is what my talk is today. I will be back again tomorrow evening for some more information.